Okay, so for today's deep dive, we're going to be checking out this. Well, it's called the New Open Way.
Okay.
And it's like the blueprint for this program, and it was created by someone named Jan B. Fredrickson.
Okay.
And their big objective is all about helping people break free from fear and ego,
Mm-hmm.
so they can really tap into their true selves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those themes come up a lot in this field, right?
Right.
Fear, ego, finding your purpose, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But I think the real gem is always the unique spin that each purser brings.
Absolutely.
So, what makes Fredrickson's take stand out?
Well, they jump right into this like bold vision for anyone who goes through this program.
Okay.
And it's not just about like individual growth, it's about, get this, impacting the world around them.
Wow.
Yeah. Fredrickson lays it all out in these like 7 bullet points, almost
Okay.
like the foundational pillars of this new open way.
I like it.
And the first one, it just hits the ground running, and I quote, I sense that each one of us have the ability to make a unique difference in today's troubled world, and by making that difference, you can help yourself as well as others to create more happiness.
Hmm. Interesting how they're connecting like personal fulfillment with having a positive impact,
Yeah.
on the world. It's
Yeah.
like a two-way street growth and giving back, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And they don't stop there.
Okay.
They take it even further, talking about people raising their sights above their own ego
Oh.
and like really discovering their true purpose.
Mm.
And get this, even becoming guides for others to find theirs.
Hmm. There's a powerful ripple effect in that, isn't there?
Totally.
It's like this idea that if one person transforms, it can inspire countless others.
It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah.
And throughout the document, there's a big emphasis on, spirituality, find your purpose,
Right.
and working towards a higher good.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like especially in the context of personal development these days?
Those themes, they're definitely having a moment right now.
Yeah.
People are really yearning for meaning,
Right.
for a sense of purpose that goes beyond the day-to-day grind.
Absolutely.
But it's important to remember that, well, higher good, it's subjective, right? It's going to resonate differently for everyone.
That's a really important point. It's not about fitting into this like predefined box, right?
Exactly.
It's about finding what truly speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Fredrickson, they're not shying away from the ups and downs either. The challenges of personal growth.
Yeah.
They actually emphasize embracing both the good and the bad as part of the journey.
Oh, interesting.
And they talk about this significant shift, like moving from unconscious ego to conscious wholeness.
That really makes me think of shadow work. This idea that to truly grow, you have to integrate all parts of yourself, even the messy parts we tend to hide.
Absolutely.
It's about acknowledging those shadows, working with them instead of against them.
Yeah, it's like befriending all parts of yourself, even the parts that make you a little uncomfortable.
Right, exactly.
Now, this next point, this is where I feel like Fredrickson really ties it all back to personal responsibility.
Okay.
They talk about like really taking ownership of your life and creating your own wealth and happiness.
That's powerful, isn't it?
It is.
It's like they're suggesting we have more agency than we realize,
Yeah.
and that inner transformation is like the key to creating the outer world we want.
100%. And they connect this whole personal responsibility thing to a larger goal,
Okay.
becoming someone who contributes to sustainability.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And what I found super interesting is that they list these 4 things: purpose, planet, people, and profit in that specific order.
Putting profit last, that's pretty radical.
I know, right?
It challenges the traditional business model, doesn't it?
Totally.
It's like they're suggesting that true success, it doesn't come from just chasing profits, but aligning with a greater purpose.
Right.
It really flips the script on how we define success.
It does. And that really stood out to me, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this picture of personal transformation and global impact.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes the big question, right? How?
Nods.
How do we actually make this shift happen?
Right.
Well, Fredrickson talks about moving from, quote, fear to compassion
Okay.
and adopting an I to US mentality.
It's a call for compassion and interconnectedness, both of which are so essential to personal growth.
Absolutely.
Recognizing that we're all connected, that our actions have a ripple effect,
They do.
affecting others and the world around us.
Yeah. And they're not sugarcoating the challenges either.
Right.
They straight up say, and I quote, it certainly demands courage to change the pattern of today, and we will see serious resistance from people, organizations, etc. but the evolution is inevitable. Change will happen for the best.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Change is hard,
It is.
even when it's positive change.
Right.
We're creatures of habit, you know?
Yeah,
And stepping outside our comfort zones, that can be scary.
for sure.
Plus, there's always going to be people who benefit from keeping things the way they are.
Always.
So resistance is kind of a given with any kind of big change.
It is. And that's where this whole win-win or no deal approach comes in.
Right.
I have to admit, I'm really curious about this one.
Yeah.
In a world that often feels so competitive, how realistic is it to aim for solutions that benefit everyone?
It does sound idealistic, almost utopian,
Right.
but I think it's a powerful principle to guide us.
Okay.
Because so often what we see as a zero-sum game, where if one person wins, someone else has to lose,
Yeah.
it's really just a result of limited thinking or maybe deeply ingrained power structures.
So it's not about naive optimism, but about actively looking for solutions that work for everybody.
Right,
It's
exactly.
about widening our perspective and challenging those assumptions about what's possible.
And realizing that often collaboration and mutual benefit can lead to more fulfilling outcomes for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like almost like we're trying to rewrite the rules of the game, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And speaking of rewriting rules,
Okay.
Fredrickson, they don't shy away from like bringing in some big names
Oh.
to back up their point
Okay, like, phew.
from, the world of spirituality and personal growth.
Right.
So for example, they quote A Course in Miracles
Okay, sure. Yeah.
and Marianne Williamson specifically on like the whole power of forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
You're
Okay.
forgiving yourself, forgiving, people who resist change,
Right.
embracing this whole idea that, and I quote, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. That is God's peace.
Wow. Okay, so they're bringing in some pretty powerful concepts there.
Yeah.
A Course in Miracles, especially, has a huge impact on a lot of people.
It has.
It's all about recognizing, how we're all connected, understanding that fear and separation, they're illusions, really,
Yeah.
and choosing love over fear.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yeah, it's interesting to see how they're using that here.
It's really interesting. Yeah, thanks for that context.
Sure.
I'll admit I haven't exactly explored those works in depth myself.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
So it's helpful to have your take on it.
Well, not every resource is going to resonate with everyone, right?
True.
The cool thing is how they're weaving these different threads together to create this whole picture of transformation.
Yeah, it's like they're creating a tapestry or something.
Exactly.
And it gets, get this, even more interesting.
Okay, you got me. What is it?
After those kind of heavy spiritual references, Fredrickson throws in this curveball,
Okay.
a classic business phrase, but with a twist.
Right. I'm hooked. What is it?
They say, quote, shit happens, deal with it.
Well, that's one way to bring it back down to earth.
I know, right?
I kind of like it, though. It's refreshing.
It is.
They're acknowledging that life is messy,
Mm,
Things happen. It's not always sunshine and rainbows,
right.
but they're integrating that into this whole framework of spiritual growth.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, listen, life's not always pretty, but how you react to those tough times, that's what matters.
Exactly. It's about how you choose to see it.
Yeah.
How you frame those challenges, that's where your power is.
100%. And you know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
It ties back to that whole letting go of resistance idea.
Oh, yeah, from A Course in Miracles.
Exactly.
Right.
Accepting what is without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, deciding how you want to move forward from there.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Acknowledging the challenges, but not letting them control you.
It's about finding that sweet spot. I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, Fredrickson has given us all these big ideas, but they don't stop there.
Okay.
They actually lay out some practical tools and techniques
Okay.
to actually put this new open way into practice.
Awesome. I like it.
They mention a process called the star cycle.
Okay.
And then they just throw in all these other interesting concepts,
What?
which again seem to be inspired by all these different thinkers and traditions.
It's like they're pulling from everywhere.
They are. It's true.
Yeah.
It's like they created this melting pot of transformative ideas.
I like that. A melting pot.
Okay, so get ready for this list.
Hit me.
Letting whatever happens be okay.
Okay.
The concept of a personal threshold, chaos and reorganization, it's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack, for sure.
I know.
Is there one that particularly stands out to you?
Honestly, the one that really grabbed my attention was, quote, the map is not the territory.
Ah, yes. That's a good one.
Right.
It's like this reminder that, what we think is real is just our perception. It's not the whole truth.
Right.
We create these maps in our minds based on our experiences, our beliefs,
Our biases, totally.
But those maps, no matter how detailed they are, they're not the actual territory.
And sometimes I feel like we get so attached to those maps
Right.
that we miss what's actually happening around us.
It's like we limit ourselves
It's
by
true,
holding
yeah.
on to these old beliefs.
Yes.
Or assumptions that might not even be true anymore.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like we're so busy looking at the map
Right.
that we forget to look up and experience the actual terrain.
Exactly. So it's an invitation to be open,
Yeah.
To question those old maps, to be willing to update them as we learn and grow.
It's about staying curious, right?
Exactly. And realizing that there's always more to discover.
Always.
Which brings us to, well, I think the most important part of this whole new open way,
Okay.
putting it all into practice.
Right. Putting it into action.
And Fredrickson gets straight to the point here. They say, leave your ego at the door.
Wow.
They even imagine a sign
Oh, no way.
that says, and I quote, "My ego, dogs, or my shadows stay outside. Here, my soul is in action."
I love that image.
It's bold, right?
It is.
But it really highlights how important it is to approach this work with humility,
Yeah.
with a willingness to let go of those limiting beliefs
Hmm.
and that self-importance that can hold us back.
Absolutely. It's about quieting that inner critic.
Exactly, that voice of fear and self-doubt.
Yeah.
So we can connect with our true selves, our inner wisdom.
And then finally, after laying all of this out,
Yeah.
Fredrickson leaves us with a series of questions
Oh, interesting. Like what?
to help us reflect on our own unique paths
Oh, okay.
and purposes.
Gotcha.
Questions like, what am I deeply passionate about? What are my unique gifts and talents?
Yeah.
And how can I use them to make a difference?
And that's where the real work begins, isn't it?
It is.
It's not enough to just understand these ideas in our heads.
Right.
The real transformation, it happens when we start asking ourselves those tough questions.
Absolutely.
When we face our fears, our insecurities, and when we actually commit to living in alignment with our values and our purpose.
It's about like really owning your journey, with all the messy parts and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of, navigating this whole new open way thing,
Right.
let's maybe shift gears a bit
Okay.
and focus on this one concept that Fredrickson talks about.
Okay. What's that?
It's called, the practice of witnessing. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Witnessing, in this sense, it's like observing your thoughts, emotions, even your experiences, but without judging them.
Okay.
It's about creating this space
Yeah.
where you can just notice what's coming up inside you without getting, totally swept away by it.
That makes sense, but I imagine it's got to be pretty tough to actually do that.
Yeah, it's not always easy.
Especially when, you're dealing with those really intense emotions or those really difficult situations.
Exactly.
Does that resonate with you at all?
Absolutely.
And if so, why do you think this whole witnessing thing is so valuable?
Well, I think the power of it is that it helps you separate yourself from your thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
It's like you can step back and observe them
Right.
without letting them completely take over.
That's interesting.
I actually saw this happen with a colleague once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's usually very reactive,
Yeah.
but he handled this really stressful situation with so much calm. It was amazing.
Wow.
And afterwards, I was curious, so I asked him about it, and
Yeah.
he said, "I just decided to be the observer that day."
Hmm.
He didn't try to fight the stress. He just acknowledged it was there.
Right.
And then he chose to approach the situation from this place of just calm observation.
Wow, that's such a great example of witnessing in action.
Right. It's not about pretending your feelings aren't there.
Exactly.
It's more about changing how you relate to them.
So it's not about suppressing or denying. It's about shifting how we see those experiences.
Exactly. It's about realizing that you are not your thoughts or your emotions,
You have them, but they don't define you.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been such an insightful look at the new open way.
It has.
And Jan B. Fredrickson's vision for, personal and collective transformation. It's clear that this program really encourages us to, question everything.
Yeah.
Embrace our whole selves, the good, the bad, all of it.
Absolutely.
And step into this greater sense of purpose.
Totally.
And really, step into a world of possibility.
It's a call to action for everyone listening,
It is.
to be authentic, to live by your values.
Yeah.
And to remember that we're all connected to each other and to the planet.
It's about showing up.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
we want to leave you with this one question.
Okay.
What part of this new open way really spoke to you?
It's a big question.
It is a lot to think about.
What resonated? What sparked something inside you?
Yeah, maybe it was that idea of the map is not the territory.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the power of witnessing.
Or even that idea of, leaving your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, hold on to it.
Yeah, don't let it go.
Let it inspire you. Let it guide you on your own journey.
Because ultimately, that's what this is all about, right?
It is.
It's about your own unique path of growth and transformation.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive, everybody.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, so for today's...